You are sitting perfectly still right now.
You are safe.
Nothing in your immediate environment wants to eat you. And yet, somewhere in your chest, there is a low hum of tension you probably cannot explain.
A tightness, a readiness, as if at any moment something is about to go wrong. That feeling is not anxiety. It is not stress. It is millions of years old. And it was never meant to turn off. Your brain was not designed for the world you are living in. It was designed for a world where you were prey, where every snapping branch meant death, where stillness was survival and silence was strategy. The remarkable thing is not that you sometimes feel on edge in new environments. A quiet apartment at 2 in the morning. The remarkable thing is that you function as well as you do,
given what your brain is actually built for.
Here is what almost no one tells you. The architecture of your mind was essentially locked in place before you were. Species had language before agriculture,
Before cities, before the concept of a tomorrow you could actually plan for.
You are running software that was written for a savanna, on hardware that now sits in traffic and reads emails and tries
to sleep 8 hours a night.
It does not translate cleanly. Start at the beginning, not your beginning, the beginning that matters here. Around 66 million years ago, the ancestors of every mammal on Earth were small, trembling, wide-eyed creatures living in the shadows of a world ruled by predators. These early mammals survived not because they were fast enough or strong enough. They survived because their nervous systems were tuned to a frequency of constant low-grade terror. Anything that moved too fast got eaten. Anything that stayed calm at the wrong moment got eaten. The survivors were the ones whose bodies treated every ambiguous signal as a threat first and a question later. That bias is in you right now. Neuroscientist Joseph LeDuc spent decades mapping what he called the fear circuit in the mammalian brain. What he found was not a single fear switch. It was a deeply embedded system with one core principle: speed over accuracy. Your brain does not wait for complete information before deciding something is dangerous. It decides danger first and collects evidence second. LeDuc called the structure responsible for this the amygdala. 2 small almond-shaped clusters of neurons buried deep in your temporal lobe. They receive sensory information before your conscious mind does, before you know what you are looking at. Your amygdala has already voted on whether to run. This is not a flaw. It was the whole point. Think about what it meant for your ancestors. A shape moves at the edge of the tree line. It might be a lion. It might be a branch blowing in the wind.
If your brain waits to determine which one it is, and it
turns out to be the lion, you are dead. If your brain screams danger, your body floods with adrenaline. You sprint, and it turns out to be a branch. You lose a few seconds of energy. The asymmetry of those 2 outcomes meant natural selection never stopped punishing the calm and rewarding the paranoid. So, here you are. You check your phone right after you put it down. Not because something changed, but because some part of your brain is constantly scanning for signals. You feel uneasy in a room where you cannot see the door. You flinch at a car horn even when you know you were safe. Safe on the sidewalk. You replay an argument from 3 days ago as if you were still inside it. None of this is irrational. All of it is ancient. The psychologist Martin Seligman named one part of this the negativity bias. The finding is straightforward and uncomfortable. Your brain gives roughly twice the weight to negative information as to positive. Positive information of equal intensity. Lose $20 and gain $20 in the same day, and you will feel the loss more. Hear one criticism and 5 compliments in the same meeting, and you will remember the criticism. This is not weakness. This is arithmetic from the savanna. Because your ancestors who remembered the location of the predator more vividly, then the location of the berries survived longer than the ones who had balanced memory, the ones who cataloged their threats, rehearsed their escapes, and assumed the worst when ambiguous signals arrived were the ones who passed on their genes. You are the descendant of the paranoid. Every single one of your ancestors made it to reproductive age inside a world that was actively trying to kill them. That is the genetic lottery you won. But what happens when the predators disappear and the brain does not get the memo? The answer is that it finds new predators. This is the part that should stop you. Your trait detection system does not require a physical danger to activate. It requires ambiguity, uncertainty, the feeling that something could go wrong. And modern life is saturated with ambiguity. An unanswered text, a meeting request, with no agenda, a slight change. In tone in your manager's voice, a news headline, a number on a scale. Your amygdala cannot tell the difference between a lion in the grass and a performance review that has not gone well. It processes both with the same ancient urgency, the same cortisol spike, the same tunnel vision. Psychologist Roxanne Cohen-Silver has studied how humans process ongoing threats with no clear endpoint. What she found is deeply relevant here. When threats are ambiguous, chronic, and unresolvable, brain does not habituate.
It does not calm.
Down with exposure, the way it does with a known manageable fear. Instead, it stays activated, low level, persistent, draining. This is why uncertainty is more exhausting than bad news. A clear disaster gives your nervous system something to respond to and then recover from. Vague, unresolved threat keeps your threat detection system running in the background indefinitely, like the fire alarm that never fully turns off. Now consider something the way you scan a room when you walk into it. You do this every time. You look for exists without deciding to. You notice who is sitting where, whether anyone is looking at you, where the loud noise came from. Evolutionary psychologist Gordon Orions documented the landscape preferences humans show across cultures, going back to what
He called the savanna hypothesis.
humans, regardless of where they are born, tend to prefer open spaces with some tree coverage, elevated vantage points, clear sight lines to potential threats. The features that made a landscape survivable for your ancestors are the same features that make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable in a room today. You feel better with your back against the wall. You feel uneasy in a crowd where you cannot see faces. You feel calmer at a table that faces the door. This is not a personality quirk.
This is spatial reasoning.
That evolved before the concept of interior design, and it goes deeper. Your skin responds to social rejection the same way it responds to physical pain. An fMRI study published by Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA showed that being excluded from a social group The game activates the same neuroregions as physical injury. Your brain, at an architectural level, does not cleanly separate being left out from being hurt. Because for most of human history, they were the same thing. Human history, they were the same thing. Exclusion from the group meant exposure to the environment. Exposure meant predation, precursor to actual death. So your brain treats the two as near equivalents. This is why embarrassment can feel like a physical sensation. Why public criticism can trigger the same body response as a threat to your safety. Why social media metrics can make your heart rate change. The predator did not go away. It changed shape.
Here is the strange.
Consolation in all of this. Every time you feel that inexplicable tension, that scanning restlessness, that low hum of uniqueness in a perfectly safe room, you are not broken. You are receiving a signal from an extraordinarily old and extraordinarily successful survival system. The most anxious of.
Your ancestors lived long enough to have children.
Their nervous systems, tuned, tight as a wire, gave them an edge in a world that was genuinely lethal. That edge is inside you. The problem is not the alarm. The problem is that the alarm was built for a world that no longer exists, and no one gave it an update. So the next time you're lying in bed at midnight, body taut, mind cycling through things that have not happened yet, understand what is actually occurring. Your amygdala is doing its job, scanning the perimeter, cataloging.
The threats, preparing your body to
Run from something that is not there. It has been doing this job without interruption for longer than your species has had a name for it. You are not anxious. You are leaving in a world that forgot to tell your brain the danger past. And somewhere in the grass of your mind, your ancient self is still watching the tree line, waiting for the shape that moves.